Start.
All right, hi kids. Chef Henry and I are going to make pate choux today. Well, I'm going to make it and she's going to film. And pate choux, as you know, is a Eclair paste. So we're going to make this and then I'll show you piping out eclairs and some cream puffs. And we're going to start with some water on the stove. We have 1 cup of water. And to that, I'm going to add the butter. This is 4 ounces of butter. This is a half batch of the recipe that we usually make at school. I'm going to add a half teaspoon of salt. Here's my half teaspoon of salt. And 3/4 of a teaspoon, which is a little half and a 1/4 teaspoon of sugar. Now we're gonna need this to come up to a rapid boil. You can see I started the water so that it was hot, but it's very important that I get my water up to a rapid boil so that all of the heat or all of the fat will disperse into the water, because our next step is going to be adding 1 cup of flour all at once. I'm going to carefully measure my flour so I don't pack it down. I'm going to level off my flour. You can see it's starting to boil, but the butter's not melted yet. Just give it a stir.
You didn't like the wooden spoon, Chef Hansen?
No, I really like a heat-proof spatula for this. A wooden spoon is the old-fashioned method for this, but I love a heat-proof spatula. This is the one I have at home, but the ones that we have at school have a white spatula, and then it has sort of a brownish red handle. So it's pretty hot. You can see the steam, you can see the butter melting, but also you can see the butter is all sitting at the top, right? Except for right where it boils. Where it's boiling, the fat is being dispersed. And what I want is as much of the fat to be dispersed as possible. So I want a rapid boil, but also I don't want too much of my water to evaporate. So look at that. It's at a rapid boil, pretty much the whole place, all over the whole pot. I'm gonna add my flour all at once. And then I have to stir really quickly to get this combined. Otherwise I'm gonna get lumpy parts. All right. See, it's steaming, which is good. We want it to look smooth. I don't want to see any flour left. See all that steam coming out? It's forming a paste. That's what we call this texture. It's holding together. It's sticking a little bit to the bottom. I'm going to cook this a little bit because I want it to pull away from the sides like it already is, but I also want some of the steam to escape at this point. Otherwise, my pate choux will be too wet and it won't pipe nicely and it won't puff nicely. All right, that looks about good. I've cooked it for about, let's say about a minute. Again, you can see it's pulled away from the sides. It's forming pretty much one mass. I'm going to turn off my heat. Now this is very hot, and I bet you guys know what would happen if I put my eggs in right now. So I'm going to pause the video for a second. Not you, Chef Henry, I'll pause it when I show this to the class. I'm gonna pause the video and I'm gonna have you tell me what you think would happen if I added eggs to it right now. All right. I hope you guys got it right. Now I'm getting my eggs ready. I'm gonna add 4 eggs to this. But as you guys probably guessed, it needs to cool down a little bit. Otherwise, my eggs would cook too fast. Almost like tempering. I can't really temper it in. What I have to do is I have to wait for it to cool down a little bit. If we were at school, we would be using a stand mixer to cool this down with the paddle attachment. But I thought it might be fun, since you guys are at home and you probably have all of these ingredients at home, that I show you doing it by hand. So, still hot. I'm gonna go put my pan in the sink to soak, because this pan is terrible. So I'm gonna stir it a little bit. See the steam escaping? It's still really hot. But I do want to start adding my eggs when it's hot, but just not so hot that it'll cook. It'll cook the eggs right away. If the eggs are added too soon, they'll coagulate and cook too quickly, and I won't get the puff that I want in the oven or the structure. And if I add it too late and it's cooled down, see, getting less steam. I'm gonna start with 1 egg. And as you can see, it's gonna be a little bit difficult to incorporate. So it's nice that I have this big bowl to help me. Otherwise, it would be all over the counter right now. It's coming together. It's ready for the next egg. And again, it's gonna make that big sort of separaty, almost curdled looking texture at first. Still feels pretty warm. My arm is getting tired. I imagine your arm would get tired if you did this at home. Again, you can do this on the mixer with the paddle attachment. It's my egg. So we're gonna separate. I'm gonna give it a really good scrape down with a spatula. Together, and I have my last egg. Here's egg number 4, and I'll post this recipe in the classroom for you guys. Woo. Make sure we're all one texture here. So this is getting a little softer with each egg that I add. And if you're doing this on the mixer, you might need to scrape it down once or twice, just the way you would with the cookie batter, if you felt like there was different textures going on. You see how the more eggs I add, the faster they go in. It's because the textures are getting sort of closer and closer together. Now I have my finished pate choux paste, or eclair paste, ready to pipe, and you can see how stiff it is. It's really going to hold its shape nicely when I put it in a pastry bag. All right, Chef, you want to stop that video there, and then